Like we're talking to no one.
In the wide world of motorsports, it doesn't get much better than Daytona. From the high banks of the oval to the infield road course, Daytona International Speedway is one of a kind in the wide world of motorsports facilities, and today plays host to race number one of the Great Lakes Truck Series. Hello, everyone, and welcome to an action-packed night of racing on Split Second Broadcasting. I'm Hunter Brittle, alongside Elliot Henderson, in the virtual high tower above Daytona International Speedway, ready to call a great night of action. Elliot, how are you feeling going into this first race of the season?
I am ready for a lot of action tonight, Hunter. I think we're going to see hopefully another new winner, and we'll see exactly who's got the speed here on the high banks of Daytona to get it done tonight.
That is a big talking point going into the first race of the season. Always a classic when we come here to Daytona. No one in GLTS history has yet to repeat at this track. It's one that's just eluded so many drivers. We've got so many favorites here. Shane Neiswanger, TCB, Tyrell Baker himself, Eric Kepf. A lot of those super speedway ringers have just been eluded that second place or that second victory here so many times. What makes it so difficult to repeat here?
I think it's just the fact that you've got all of these guys, just very hungry to win this race. This is ultimately our mini Daytona 500. And the idea of winning here is the biggest thing besides the championship. So everyone comes into the season, and this is the one that they really want to win. I mean, a lot of guys look for Darlington, they look for Charlotte and other tracks on the schedule, but Daytona's still the bread and butter of this series, of this league. And as you alluded, we're 8 for 8 on new winners, on different winners. A couple other stats to throw up there. The last 3 winners have all started in the top 10. Second place has more wins than anybody else. 3 second place starters have gone on to win. Season 1, Ty Aiken. Season 3, Eric Kepf. And Season 7, Shane Neiswanger a couple seasons ago. So, and then TCB is the only guy to actually win while leading the most laps in the race back in Season 2. So some interesting stats to throw out there that make no sense compared to other tracks where usually you lead the most laps and you win. So we'll have to see. Right now, it looks like Matt Durr's sitting in that second spot, but after these duels, where everyone lines up and who's going to get that done.
Yeah, this big super speedway so different from every other track on the schedule. Like we said, TCB, one of those favorites to be up there all night. Look for him to be leading early. He loves to make his way to the front and just stay there. Um, as we look at our formatting for tonight, the Great Lakes Series does mirror the real Truck Series in NASCAR. We're going to have the top 2 in single lap or single speed qualifying being locked in as the first and second place drivers on the grid. And then after that, we're going to divide the field in half. Heat 1, the results of Heat 1 will determine the inside row, and the results of Heat 2 will determine the outside row. We really like to keep it similar to real life as much as possible. Elliot, how does that play into any strategy for the race rather than just single lap qualifying?
I think right now, if you look at it with Radman and Madalenas, it kind of just it makes them obviously not have to worry about anything. They can sit back and relax. We may get a chance to talk to one of them before all this kicks off. But for the guys like Sims, McClellan, Nanny, those guys that have now qualified up there and would ideally be starting top 5, it really transitions into just kind of what they want to do in that heat. They could try to run up front and maintain their position, or they may see if it's gonna, kind of fall apart and have a wreck somewhere, and maybe they want to drop to the back. I've been on both ends of that where I've qualified at the back and then used the heat to go to the front and vice versa. It just depends on where you're at. Maybe you want to sit here and use the heat and understand how the draft works and get a little bit more experience and race around guys that ideally you'll be racing around in the race. But right now, I think it's really just going to come down to each individual perspective and what they want to do. But we're minutes away from being able to figure out exactly what Jackson, Nanny, and these guys think about their starting position right now.
Yep, with qualifying being finished up right now, it looks like Milad Radman is going to lock his pole position into the race. Now, he'll still participate in duel number one, just as Hunter Madalinas, who qualified in position number two, will race in duel number two, but they are locked in at their positions. No matter where they finish in the heats, they will start the race on the front row.
I think the biggest question you've got going into this is, the guys that are starting way in the back of these heats, how aggressive are they going to be to try to get up towards the front? And you've also got guys that didn't qualify: Austin Moore, Ashton Lawson, Matt Rodriguez, three guys that have. I'm not really sure Matt's recent events here, but I know Austin and Ashton have been very fast at Daytona and have finished in the top 5 previously. So they're definitely people to look at. Interesting to see them not put a Q lap down, and we'll have to see what that means for them going into this heat.
They've just got that much confidence going into the duels. It seems they know that it's not about single lap speed. If they didn't think that they had it in single lap runs, then they know they've got something for the pack. Just looking at the grid for this heat number one, we've got Jackson Sims starting up there at the front. I was mistaken. The top two are actually not going to race in these duels. Jackson Sims going to be taking pole position in duel number one. A driver that's really come on strong within the last 2 seasons. He's been up there making noise week in and week out. I know for yourself and myself, last season in season 8, he was definitely a name, making a name for himself, and quite frankly, being a nuisance in the top 5 week in and week out.
There's a lot of guys that have kind of jumped up and made their faces known in this series. I think Jackson's definitely one of them, where he came in and no one really knew who he was. He was a rookie, and within a half a season, he really just started running up towards the front and being a competitive driver. So I think it's interesting to see him up front at Daytona, but he also has the Eric Kep driving school underneath him. Those guys always seem to qualify well here, so we'll see what he does in this heat. But between him and Nanny starting up front, you've got 2 of the very best in this series now trying to face off and keep their starting spot.
That's true. There was a time in this league where Eric Kep's just had this place's number when it came to qualifying. You couldn't go a year without seeing an Eric Kepf at least top 2, top 3 at Daytona qualifying. He had this place figured out, and then somewhere, I believe it was a year or 2 ago, something happened and the rest of the field found whatever trick Eric had up his sleeve, and we're up here with the rest of them now. The field's coming into turn 3, coming to take the green flag for the first duel. I see the 30 of Daniel Nanny and the 37 of Bobby Carter, Elliott Henderson fame, up there. How does that make you feel, seeing your 2 cars up there towards the front?
Feels good. I like seeing Nanny. I like seeing Sensi up there. They also gave him the outside lane, so they'll be able to work together. So we'll have to see what these E95 boys do. I know Sensi really wants this one because he'd be the first repeat winner if he can get it done. And Nanny, I think, just doesn't want to be taken out in another race. So we'll have to see how they work together here.
The pace truck dives into pit road. We're green. The green flag is out for the first duel of the Great Lakes Season 9. Jackson Sims will lead him off into turn 1 with Daniel Nanny to his outside. Matt Durr really tucked up behind Sims there, trying to get that big push. But we know that outside lane, as look at the 2 EHG cars, they're going to be bumper to bumper, just flying around this outside. Look for them to get a big run here down the back.
Yeah, Nanny very aggressive on these plate tracks. Aggressive everywhere, but very aggressive on these plate tracks as well. He knows how to lead a pack and how to change those lanes and make the air work for him. Matt Durr is not I don't even know what to say, but he is very aggressive in pushing. He's not afraid to push, is what I think I was going for there, and that'll propel Jackson back out in the lead going into turn 3, but coming off turn 4, that outside lane comes right back on the outside.
Yeah, Matt Durr not letting that outside lane get that advantage down the back that it used to. The physics of these trucks have really changed over the last season or so. You used to get, as you see TCB making a diving move to the bottom lane, speaking of aggressive, you really can't say aggressive without bringing up TCB's name in that 3 truck there. He's really embodying that intimidator personality here, especially at these super speedways.
Yeah, usually in the 25. Anyone that knows TCB knows he's either in the 025 or the 25, very near and dear number to his heart, but that number was snatched this season, so he had to alternate, and you know, he's Mr. Aggressive himself, so he figured he'd go with the Dale Earnhardt scheme. His teammate Malad Radman usually runs, you know, a Harvick or a Dale Earnhardt scheme, so it all kind of evens out there, and they can kind of be the RCR duo. So it'll be interesting to see both of them in the field. Obviously, Radman lucky enough to survive this one and not have to run, and PCB sitting here trying to improve his starting position going into the feature.
That top lane really starting to come into its own. Nanny, Senzi, Will Barbagelata, TCB. As Nanny goes to the inside and then just gets hung out to dry, Senzi goes down there with him. He really wants to stick with his E95 teammate. Barbagelata to the front with a big push from TCB as they go into 3.
Yeah, I think that was all by design for the 30 and the 37. I don't know if they really wanted to get to the bottom, but you can't really hold up the top. They'll eventually just sucker you out of there. So I think they're where they want to be able to maintain the lane and hopefully be there at the end. But now you've got TCB and Barbagelata, two of the most aggressive guys on that top lane pushing. How about Robin Durr sneaking up as the third truck in the outside lane there? He's going to try to get a piece of this, as TCB probably will push Barb right clear of Sensi down the backstretch if they can line up right.
Oh, Senzi just got a good shot from Nanny going into turn 1. Just was able to gather it up. That could have been Harry right there at the front of the field. Barbagelata gets a big push from TCB going back down that backstretch. That really is, that outside lane just has so much momentum going when you come off of the corners here. Just that, the massive banking here, you can get such a run down the back. It's just a matter of if you can hold it going into the turns again. As we see Senzi going up to block that second lane. Here comes Robin Durr on the outside to make it 3 wide. Oh my gosh, it's going to get tight here in the tri-oval.
He had a run, he took it. Not anywhere to go with. Oh, he's going to turn Sensi outside wall.
Big wreck into turn 1 here. That's a lot of big names going in the back of the pack there to start this race. Now, this is not going to affect whether or not they make it into the show, but it is going to affect where they start. Let's take a look at who all is involved in that. You see the 91 of Austin Moore involved. Robin Durr, as you saw, he was a major player in that. Michael Senzi, I believe I saw TCB in the 3 got caught up in that.
Reminder, there's no yellows, so Daniel Nanny's still out here leading this pack. It's about 5 trucks deep now. And that'll take Sensi from ultimately a second or third place starting spot all the way back to last. He's going to be out of this one. And these guys are basically going to have to manage it themselves.
It looked like Robin got a big shot from that third place car behind him, the 81. That is Mike McConville. Got a big shot going into 1, and it just sent him down at the same time that Senzi came up. And it just brought those 2 trucks together into that outside wall. Really unfortunate start for the 2 of them, and then wow, just the carnage that ensued behind them. That's just part of this pack racing here at the Daytona, Talladega, these style of tracks. It's not just going to be a 1-2 car wreck. It's going to be a lot of them.
Yeah, it looked like Sensi was really just trying to maintain that outside, and him and Nanny were going to just maintain both lanes and get one of them the victory here, just to push it through to the next feature. But unfortunately, again, Robin Durr got a big push, and there's nothing he can really do with that when he gets pushed like that. So it looks like we've got a nice little 5-car pack. Barb's trying to do something, but no one's really going with him. It's going to depend on what Jackson and Matt Durr do here. Jackson jumps out, Nanny and Jackson make contact, and now they're all over the place. Here we go. Off to the races.
Big scramble on the back stretches. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars here fighting for this, what is going to equate to the third place starting position in the real race, as we're coming off of turn 4 to the white flag. Does anyone have anything for Daniel Nanny? So aggressive at these tracks, at any track really. You can't. He's another one of those that's just his name carries some weight in this league. We're 3 wide. Danny goes up to block. Doesn't get to get any of them. He's going to go to the outside.
Yeah, just another block there that he tried to make. Same thing as Sensi before, but it didn't work out for him. And now you've got Sims pushing Barb all the way clear. DuPont going to try to push Durr back up to him. There's still going to be a run. Don't think Barb's got this. Jackson can go somewhere. Durr to the outside of Jackson. DuPont with him. We've got a 3-3 train, and Barb to the top now.
Oh, it's getting hairy. There's the push. Barb gets spun. It's going to be a 3-car drag race, 2-car drag race. Does Matt Durr have anything? Can he hold off Daniel Nanny coming to the line?
I think Nanny needed to get a move done. I think he's just going to be content in taking where he's at, and that's where Nanny would have started regardless. So I think that's fine with him. Matt Durr is going to be your first heat winner here, and wow, that was pretty aggressive right there at the end, but kind of what we expect with these races with no cautions and just a little run to the finish to try to improve your starting position.
The no cautions factor playing a huge role in the outcome of this race. Worth noting, Matt Durr is racing tonight with a dislocated knee. He injured himself in his personal life. Not really sure what he was doing, but he has that injury, and it's honestly seemed to make him better. He's been our Monday Night League, he has been making noise in that, and then in the same week comes and wins duel number 1 here. So a massive performance from Matt Durr to win duel number 1.
Yeah, pretty impressive start for all of the Dark Horse guys there, but Matt Durr will ultimately improve his starting spot. I don't remember exactly where he had qualified originally, but it'll be him and Nanny up there in the top 5 now with Radman in front of him.
We're going to get lined up for duel number 2 here, which appears to have Tyler McClellan sitting on the pole for this one. Not a name that really appeared a lot last season, but making some noise here early in season 9.
McClellan going to lead them off with the 23 of Spencer Owens to his outside.
And in the same breath, along with McClellan, not really being as prevalent, but making last season, but making some noise this one. Adolfo Delgado there in the 8 car, one who he really likes this Daytona race. We haven't seen him a whole lot throughout the rest of the season, but always shows up here. A Daytona faithful for sure.
So just for a reminder, Matt Durr, literally your top 3 besides Sensi that started in that heat finished in the top 3. So no real difference there in who's starting up towards the front, besides Sensi being shuffled out and going from what would have been a 3rd place starting spot to, I believe, close to 28th on the charts now. Scratch at 34th for Sensi.
Big shakeup there for Michael Sensi. His starting position definitely affected by that wreck in Heat 1. But now it's all about Heat number 2, as we've got Tyler McClellan on the inside, Spencer Owens on the outside with his teammate at Spectrum Racing, Jared Darling, lined up behind him. Behind them, it's Shane Neiswanger in the Zen Band at 49 and Brent Kingcott in the number 5, rocking a new number this season. Excited to see what he can do.
Last time we had teammates lined up on the outside, it didn't work out very well. I'll have to see how this heat goes.
Well, maybe those drivers have seen it. It tends to be that way with these with the two dual formats. One of the heats is crazy and one of them's calm. It's just a matter of who determines what how those are gonna go in what order. But as the field fires off into turn 1, McClellan really did not get going there. Big jump from the 2 Spectrum drivers as they're going to dive to the inside and take control of this race. Neiswanger out there with the 88 just left to see if they can try and get a run down the back as the rest of the field scrambles behind him. But we're 3 wide in the back there with Eric Kepf. I believe that's the 4 of Rod Fosnaugh and the 74 of... Who's in that 74? John Barry, a new rookie this year in this series. Apologies, John, when you go back and watch this.
I wouldn't say that was Tyler getting a bad start. I just think that was the inside lane not really being prepared for that. I think no disrespect to Adolfo, but like you said, he hasn't been around a lot. You had Spencer and Jared who run weekly in the outside lane, and they were a little bit more prepared and ready for that, along with Shane. So I wouldn't put that on Tyler. I just think he didn't have the effort from the back to really help him out there. So you got Zach Henry making a push on the outside lane with John Barry now. Looks like this group really wants to go 3 wide a lot more often than the last group. We'll have to see how it works out for them in the long run.
Instead of calm and crazy for the Tool Duels, it might be crazy and crazier, as we're already 3 wide by 3 by 3 back in the pack, coming to start the 3rd lap here, as we get that weird shift off of 4 when those cars come down off the banking and they compress those springs. You get that little whack as there's a big wreck in the back. Rod Fosnot gets turned. The 8 of Adolfo Delgado's involved. At least 4 or 5 cars wrecked on the front stretch.
And that will be that for those guys. They'll just have to kind of settle it amongst themselves for those back half of the grid spots. But back up towards the front, we've still got the same deal we had last time. 2 teammates that start on the outside lane, jump down to the bottom, and then you've got at least Shane out there on the outside lane with Aiden Robertson pushing him and trying to make hay. Shane, obviously a former winner at Daytona, and trying to make something happen here as he pushes Spencer around Jared to the point.
Shane Neiswanger definitely knows how to get it done here, but it hasn't been done in recent memory. It's taken him a season or 2 to get back up there. He's going to go to the front here, as these 2 Spectrum teammates just have this on lock. They've really there's been some talking and some communicating and team planning going on in that stable there. Big push from Roberson's going to send Neiswanger down the back, and he's going to get a nose out in front. Is he going to clear before turn 3? Doesn't look like it. They're going to stay 2 by 2. Here come the Spectrum teammates. It's going to be a lot of give and take, that inside and outside. They're going to go back and forth all night. You're going to see that in the real race too.
So the big thing to note with these trucks is how quickly they get hot. Aiden going to turn 3 said he needed to get out from behind Shane, get a little bit of air to the truck. It looks like they can really only push heavy for maybe a lap and a half at max. So, when you get down to a green, white, checkered situation, obviously expect that. But in the middle of the race, the outside lane's going to struggle with that because they've got the longer way around. Momentum-wise, they're not going to be able to keep up as well. So the inside lane will prevail from the fact that they can stay together a little bit better and kind of get some air to their truck down the straightaways. But it looks like we've got a few more guys joining the party with Gavin Fitzgerald back there, and Louis Woodall up here, Lewis Woodall up in the middle, and now Spencer's in the middle.
Spencer got put in the sucker hole, as coined by DW, and he's just going to go straight to the back there. That's one less Spectrum teammate that Shane Neiswanger is going to have to deal with in his fight for the 4th place starting spot in tonight's race. Big shuffle in the running order as Tyler McClellan giving Jared Darling a push. Oh, almost too much of a push. Oh, he gets loose. The whole pack scatters. They're able to gather it up, and Neiswanger gives Jared a push. We're still 3 wide here. My goodness, what big shoves we're getting in this duel here. Still managed to keep it all together, though. Still waiting. Oh, and there's Aiden. Can he keep it together? 4 wide. There's the wreck. There's Brent Kingcott. He gets turned. Aiden Roberson, Tyler McClellan, they're involved. It's those 3 just piled up in the turn 4 wall. Everyone else able to escape through, but we've really got it scattered now as they come through the tri-oval.
Tyler tried to do everything he could to make that work, but there wasn't enough room when they tried to put 4 trucks next to each other. Now everyone's shuffling. They want the lead. Gavin gives Shane a shot. How about Ashton Lawson from absolutely nowhere? I didn't even realize which truck that was for a second. New paint scheme, new number. Ashton Lawson, Spectrum Racing on the bottom. Shane Neiswanger on the top. And I think Shane's going to have to settle for 4th or just hope that these guys wreck each other for it, because these 3 are all going to work together and just kind of make sure that they maintain their spot at this point.
Definitely going to be hard in a 3v1 coming to lap 8, the bell lap here. Neiswanger, if he drops back, is he able to get a big run and go through, or does he need some help that he just doesn't have right now?
He's going to have to hope that someone like Ashton or Jared goes to the top, because, I mean, sure, you want to help your teammates, but it also improves your position, so why not go for it? Ashton looks to the top. Shane's going to have a drafting partner there. You've still got Louis, and I believe that Shiflet back there trying to draft up to him, but I don't think they'll get there. They got Jared separated. Ashton all the way to the top. Gavin blocks. Ashton gets a shot. They're 2x2 down the backstretch.
Oh, and that's just, why don't you just race it out? They could just line up and settle it like gentlemen, but no, they're going to race it out here, and that's what we love to see here as Ashton dives back to the bottom. Is going to leave Shane Nicewanger hanging out to dry. These three Spectrum cars, man, it's just going to be hard to beat them. As here comes Louis and Spencer. They're not on the lead lap, are they?
They are.
Oh my goodness,
I
Shane
didn't
with a
think
huge
they'd get
bump.
there.
Spencer gets turned into Shane, and he's going to get sent to the outside wall. Gavin's going to clip Ashton there at the line, just edge him out for that fourth place starting spot. What
Wow.
a finish to this duel number 2.
Gavin got it through the grass, and I did not think that Lewis and and Spencer would get there, but wow, that draft came in really strong on that last lap. That's going to be something to watch out for.
That's definitely something to watch for in the real race. What a comeback from those two. I just want to go back and see just how far they were. They were, I mean,
A good bit out.
of so far away. It was crazy how far back they came. And it must have been because they got side by side and got racing down on that back stretch that punched that bigger hole in the air, and it made it bigger for those two to suck right back up to them.
Now we start gridding for what is the actual 80 lapper here at Daytona. The Great Lakes Daytona, I don't know how long it is, but basically our 200 here.
80 laps. The Great Lakes 80.
I'm not doing math right now. I think it's 175 miles or something like that.
We're too shook from the we're too shook from the duels. As we're gonna go to commercial here and cut as these as they get gridded up and get rolling here for the main event. We'll be right back after this. back at the Daytona International Speedway. The lights are out on the pace truck, the iRacing pace truck, that is, and we're going to take you through the field in this full race lineup after those two wild duels to set the starting lineup for this. On pole, you've got Malad Radman in that 29 truck, so dominant last year once he came into the league. On his outside, he's going to have Hunter Madalinas in that number 9 Celsius truck. Mike.
Third place, we'll have Matt Durr. Outside lane in fourth, Gavin Fitzgerald.
Daniel Nanny is going to occupy that number 5 starting spot with Ashton Lawson in the 26 to his outside.
And right behind them, Jackson Sims with the number 1 truck of Jared Darling on the outside in 8th.
A pair of Dark Horse Motorsports teammates in the next row, starting 9th, is Aiden DuPont in the 00 and Lewis Woodall in the 13th.
That is your top 10. We're coming around to the green, and I'm going to go ahead and make a dark horse pick here. Michael Sensi got knocked out in that first race. Started up towards the front, but he's going to be starting from literally last. Picking him to go all the way on this one tonight.
I will counter your pick with the guy who I was talking about to start it all off at the beginning of this, Jackson Sims in that purple and white number 6 Toyota. I think he's got some noise to make here tonight as we get ready to take the green flag here in the opening race of the Great Lakes Truck Series. Malad Radman leads him off through the tri-oval. We're green here at Daytona.
And once again, you've got Matt Durr, one of the better pushers in this league. Right up behind him, Daniel Nanny, the most aggressive guy potentially between... I mean, you've got a lot of aggressive guys out here. We're not going to keep poking fun at Nanny. TCB's somewhere back in the field, but Nanny obviously pushing Durr. Durr's going to look to the outside, but we'll have to see how these guys all work together. Madalena said he wanted to lead the first lap. He's not going to get the chance if he has to push that 44 truck.
2 former teammates.
Oh, Ashton Lawson!
As we've got a wreck that's spinning on the back. Aiden DuPont, Adam Zorn, they're all collected in it. The caution is out here on lap number 1 down the backstretch. I didn't quite get a good look at it because I was too preoccupied with Matt Durr taking the lead. But it looked like the 26 of Ashton Lawson got a big shot from Jared Darling and just came down, had to gather it up, and couldn't gather it up without taking out a couple guys with him.
It looks like what basically happened was the top stacked up when Durr went to the outside, as it would, and as they started to get pushing again, Gavin lifted and Ashton couldn't quick enough before Jared got a shot from the 13 of Louis Woodall, and they all just kind of stacked into each other. Doesn't look like too many guys were affected by this, just basically Ashton, Jared. I believe there's some damage done to Aiden DuPont. And I believe
Aiden
that's
DuPont
it.
took a shot to the right side. Adam Zorn took a big clip by Jared Darling, got spun around 3 or 4 times before he could gather it up. Look for that damage as we come back around here to catch up to the pace truck. Look at we've got a live in look here at the replay, and yeah, big shot from Jared to Ashton, and he just can't. You know, it's funny. The same thing happened on lap 1. The exact same thing happened on lap 1 last season, and it strikes again here early. A big shove going down the back, and it's just hard to gather it up. The run that these trucks get is so massive that it's so hard when you take a shot. If it's not square on, sometimes even if it is square on, you're still going to be at least chasing it for a little bit.
And I mean, we could all sit here and say there's 80 laps. Why are they pushing so hard? They weren't. They weren't really doing anything wrong there. Jared was just preparing to give a shot to the guy in front of him, and they were just kind of all gonna keep going. And unfortunately, it accordioned, and that's what happens when you've just got guys just trying to stay in line and get going. Honestly, it would have been smarter for someone to try to get out and try to go 3 wide at that point. But there's nothing you can really do when everyone's just kind of sitting there packed up together and someone jumps to the outside and just stalls the momentum. So it's going to put Matt Durr in the lead. So it was obviously the right move. Madalenas is going to be in second, Malad Radman in third, Nanny back to fourth, and Gavin Fitzgerald rounds out your top 5. But that definitely leaves a few guys scratching their heads and a little bit frustrated to be damaged on the first lap.
It's just a big product of this super speedway racing. Like I said, there's going to be wrecks. It's inevitable, and it's going to take out more than just the cars that started it. You're just too packed too close together. As we had a huge gaggle of cars on pit road, it looked like almost half the field was either taking tires or repairing damage, or maybe just topping up on fuel. But there was a number of cars that elected to come down pit road this time.
Just trying to go back and look and see if those guys at the back got any damage. There's still some guys still on pit road. Adolfo Delgado, Michael Sensi, John Barry, Michael Barb, Rod Fosna. They're all just kind of sitting here. None of them look too heavily damaged, but you got to wonder if maybe there was some incident back in the rear of the field that may have taken those guys out.
The pace trucks coming down into the tri-oval. Those on pit road better get going here. As I see the 36 truck still sitting on pit road. He must have taken a ton of damage in that hit.
Yeah, you never really know what happens at the back of the field because these guys at the front all kind of maneuver away, and then the guys back in 30th, 35th, they get put right in the middle of it and don't really have anywhere to go. And again, that's a product of Sensi wasn't gonna be there until that wreck in his heat put him there. So it looks like, yeah, he going back and looking at it, he couldn't get stopped and actually ran over Zach Henry. Kyle Hall was in there. There were a bunch of guys towards the back of the field that all kind of piled in. Nathan Jump involved as well. Just to name a few. I don't even know that we can get a full list of everybody because there was a lot that happened back there.
A lot of heavy hitters involved in this early wreck. Like you said, Zach Henry, Nathan Jump involved, Michael Sensi really coming on strong there. Unfortunate that he had to get put back in that position in his duel, but that's just part of how this format works. It's you race your way in, and where you race is where you're going to start the real race.
Yeah, and to name Zach Henry and Nathan Jump after lap 1 wrecked, that's a pretty big deal because they're both championship contenders, both 2511 drivers. So not a good start for that team overall. It's all kind of in Preston Henry's hands to see where. Not even sure where he's running at the current moment, but we'll have to see how that sorts out. He's showing about 12th after starting 31st, so he was a big gainer there. But it looks like if you were about 8th to 15th, you are no longer in the top 20, and you're having to either repair damage or get your stuff looked at. So we'll have to see how those guys all come back and how aggressive everyone decides to be right here on this restart.
Coming back to it, the lights are out on the pace truck, and after a wreck like that, your nerves are they're going crazy right now. You're trying to get yourself calmed down as we're going back to racing. The race has still got to carry on. Whether or not you were involved in it, it's marching on regardless. Matt Durr is going to lead them back to the green flag here. And it looks like the 9 and the 30 are going to have a big shot here coming to it. There's a big gap in between the 44 and the 29. Look for the outside lane to take the lead in this first corner.
E95 teammates in the outside, Radman and Durr, obviously not. They're manufacturer teammates, but they are not team teammates. One for Dark Horse and Radman on Team TCB. You've got Gavin Fitzgerald and Jackson Sims right there behind them. And how about old Gabe Truesdale working his way up there, running about 7th place on the outside lane.
Making some noise in his return to Great Lakes. Haven't seen his name around here for a while, but it's great to see him back up there and making a big name for himself, making a big statement in his return. As we're 2x2 here in the front. They're starting to get single filed out there in the back. That must have been a harrowing incident for everybody in the back to see. They've calmed down, but this front pack here, it's going to be this way until the checkered flag. That's just how these super speedways go. You're going to have those couple front cars. They're going to be fighting for it all race long as Matt Durr and Malad Redman go back to the lead here. And the 9 car and the 30, they're going to get bunched back up, and they're going to make another run at it. But that's just the ebb and flow of these trucks as they go.
Yeah, it's what you're going to see a lot of, especially with what I mentioned in the heats with the how hot these trucks end up getting. You can see Nanny still laying way off. Madalena's trying to maintain kind of that run in second or third. If they want to be even with the second or third truck in the inside lane, if they can be there, I think they're comfortable, because from there they can just push really hard down the backstretch and get even with the leader. TCB back there making some moves. I see Mike McConville's up there. Mike's been, in this league for a good bit now, and he makes a lot of good moves, but sometimes gets involved in stuff that's not really his own doing. It's good to see him running up front. We'll have to see how that sorts out. Again, 75 plus laps or 70 plus laps to go here, so still a long way. TCB making a move up the middle. Jackson Sims pushed to the outside, and you gotta wonder if TCB is just trying to get Radman up to the top. They do. Teammates together.
Yep, they're just going to get hooked up here, and like I said, here comes TCB, and he's going to make some moves. It's just a matter of when. He and Jared Darling there in the one truck behind him, while they're not teammates, they are good friends. Look for them to be making noise, as it's just them on the outside lane here. Does Jackson Sims to elect to go with them or stay on the bottom? For the time being, it's just those three up top.
Yeah, it looks like you've got a really good battle here between E95 and Team TCB, with a little bit of Spectrum and Dark Horse mixed in there. We'll have to see how this all sorts out over the run, but TCB's very good at this. Nanny as well, but TCB really knows how to get super speedways done from, whether winning in the front or having to push guys up towards the front. So interesting to see Radman go to the bottom and TCB just stick to the outside, but maybe they're going to try to own those lanes just like Nanny and Sensi tried to do in the first heat.
They're just going to control them both and they're going to make the field come to them. Worth noting on that last lap, you saw the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald kind of drop to the back there. That wasn't something that was forced. He elected to do that. Sometimes when these big packs up here at the front get to moving around and such, and you start to see names that maybe you're not comfortable really racing around, start migrating to the front or in your general direction, you just drop out to the back and for calmer waters, shall we say. As Gavin Fitzgerald, he didn't drop too far back. He's still sitting in the 12th position there on the bottom lane, but worth noting that he's just looking for some cleaner air, if you will.
TCB getting to the front usually gets people a little on edge. He likes to switch lanes. He likes to make all those bold maneuvers. Doesn't matter what lap we're on, whether it's lap 10 or lap 50. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but it could be just a reason that Gavin elected to drop back. And you can see Nanny and Madelinas all kind of leaving gaps now and just kind of biding their time. Again, this race is so long. Austin Moore has now jumped up to the front of this group, and I believe I think there's the 7 of Matt Rodriguez out there on the outside lane. A lot of newcomers up here moving up towards the front.
And speaking of newcomers, Matt Green in that 24 truck making his first GLR start, looking to make some noise, make a name for himself up here. He's got something to say. Maybe he'll stay up here for the entirety of it and have something to say here at the end. It's good to see new faces here, new faces old and new here in the Great Lakes Truck Series.
Yeah, you've definitely got two different packs here. You've got the guys that want to run up front and they want to preserve their track position, and then you've got the guys. It looks like Madalina's starting to fall towards that group, but back here with Jackson Sims and Robin Durr and Kyle Hall and Emilio Paredes, all just kind of biding their time. You can see that's where Gavin ended up going. He's back about 17th place. They're just going to let that group up there mess around. If anything happens, they can avoid it with how far back they are, but they can also draft right back up there and get in the mix if they need to. But again, a lap 11 out of 80, there's no need to force anything. There's going to be multiple pit stops here, a lot that can still happen. So they're just all going to sit back there and kind of kill some time and see how this unfolds.
2 definitive groups being formed here. Worth noting, it's going to be a matter of fuel as well. You get that big pack up there, but when when the time to pit comes, and that's roughly about 20 to 23 laps or so in this one here with the draft accounted for, it's going to be hard for those guys up there at the front going too wide to be able to get down and make it to pit road. So this pack back in the back here, maybe that's what they've got in mind as we're starting to tick off the laps here, and everybody has seemed to settle into this 80 lap event. We are 12 laps into now.
And now that we've got this massive snake coming along the bottom lane here, just a quick follow-up. It looks like Tyler McClellan, Adam Zorn have both lost the draft. They're 16 seconds off. Not sure if that's due to damage or what's going on with them, but they are now well out of it. Michael Sensi is 3 laps down. Apparently his contact ended up doing a little bit more than we thought, and he's heavily damaged. So those 3 going to be looking for some type of way back into this, but it looks like those 3 are very, very badly damaged. As Sensi actually was lapped down, you see him in the top lane. And everyone else seems to be keeping up, but you do have a small group with Brent Kingcott, Ashton Lawson, Will Barber, Gelada, Shane Nicewanger, Nathan Jump. Those guys, again, we're all sitting on pit road. Not sure if that's damage, if that's strategy, if they wanted to fall to the back, but we'll have to see. Right now, they're all just kind of in a large group right behind the leaders, but I don't know the last time I've seen a full single file line like this in GLTS. Pretty interesting way to start this one.
It's been a long time since we've seen such a well-behaved field this early at this point in the event. It's definitely something new to see from the booth here, as you and I were in this field last year, and well, I wasn't in it for very long. It's definitely interesting to look at here as we get this long. Like you said, it's like a snake, almost a train the entire way back. You can just see them all coming off of turn 4 into the trial over here, hugging that yellow line, not necessarily going up by the wall. They're electing to take the shortest way around this place. Elliot, as a veteran of iRacing, how different is it? Because you see different cars, the Xfinity car, the next gen car, sometimes you'll see them being up on that high line, ripping the fence at these tracks when they get into these long trains. Why is it that these truck guys are electing to stay on the bottom?
That's usually momentum or aero. A lot of the times with the older bodies, the left side wasn't as you couldn't really side draft as heavy. With the new trucks and everything now, it just feels like either side you can be side drafted really hard. So they're picking the bottom just to kind of go the shortest way around. I think a lot of that's for fuel at the front of the pack, knowing that these guys are wide open. Everyone behind them, from Radman on back, is able to save probably upwards of a lap through this run just by sitting back where they are. Jared and TCB are the ones that are going to be in a bit of a pickle when it comes to having to pit and see who wants to come with them, if they're going to have to come a couple laps early. But I think a lot of that's just, aero and also personal preference. I think it's fuel, it's personal preference, and aero. And these trucks, I think they just prefer the inside.
Makes a lot of sense. The inside is the shortest way around the track. We're going to take a quick break here on the Split Second Broadcasting Network, and we'll be right back here. When we come back, green flag pit stops. Jared Darling is your leader here at Daytona. 20 laps of the scheduled 80 completed here at Daytona in the Great Lakes Truck Series season opener. Still worth noting that we are still in this long snake here. Everyone's being well behaved. Really uncharacteristic of this series. We haven't seen anything like this in the 5 seasons that I've been associated with this, and all 9 of them since you've been here, I'd like to say.
Yep, this normally isn't what we do, but I do wonder if it's maybe just the fact that you've got 3 of arguably the fastest super speedway guys up front. They all work very well together. They run a lot of C-Fix together. So you've got Jared Darling, Tyrell Baker, and Malad Radman all up there just kind of working the pack. And I'm not honestly sure if Matt Green here has an affiliation, but he's been stuck with them for a while as well. And Gabe Truesdale just sitting there in 5th. They're all just kind of relaxed. I'd say the biggest note at this point is I went back into some stat checking. Jared Darling, who finished 2nd last season after starting not dead last, but 36th, so pretty far back there. Lost this race by 1,000th of a second, the closest finish in GLR history. I think he's got a little bit of frustration coming into this one, and that's what's got him out here leading. But in his defense, no one's ever won by leading the most laps except the guy right behind him. So a little bit of interesting tidbits there to see how that unfolds later on.
Jared Darling definitely
As
got
pit
something
stops.
to say. As we've got pit stops here going early. Who is that? That's the 9. The 30, looks like the Dark Horse boys and some of the E95 guys have elected to pit.
Yeah, looks like a very coordinated E95 Dark Horse kind of pit stop there with Matt Durr and a few of those guys. Hunter Madalinas, Daniel Nanny, Austin Moore. It's weird because I would have expected the leaders to pit first. Fuel windows anywhere from 20 to 23 laps. We're on lap 23. We had a caution on lap 1, which means they could probably go to about 25 max. And you would have expected the leaders to come first. But Nanny, Madalinas, and those guys were in that lead group for most of the run. As Adam Zorn goes lap down, I believe he pitted a lap before those guys. So just interesting strategy call, but maybe they just wanted to get, well, Zorn comes now.
Here come the Spectrum guys, too. They're all coming. The mid-pack, wow, that's a lot of them. A lot of Spectrum-affiliated drivers coming down pit road for their stuff here. Gavin Fitzgerald. We got a spin. Will Barb in the back. He's sideways on pit road. Definitely not a situation you want to be in. That's going to hurt him. He's definitely going to lose the draft after all that is said and done.
Looked like Ashton and Kingcott just kind of got together and slid into Barb, and that is going to hurt him in the long run here.
As you see Eric Kepf making his service, we go back to Will Barb here. It seems like without fail, somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb when we come to this place. Somebody ends up sideways, and it's just a product of how fast they're coming down off of that banking onto
leaders hit pit road now.
Onto the pit road here, as the leaders are here. The entirety of that pack, it looks like there's 4 guys that have stayed, 4 or 5 that have stayed out. Robin Durr, Preston Henry, Zach Henry, 2 brothers there. Nathan Jump and Shane Neiswanger looking at a little Dark Horse and 2511 cooperation.
Matt Green right in front of TCB ended up sliding through his stall, tried to back it up, got caught against the wall. He is going to lose more than likely a lap based off of that. He's not going to get out anytime soon. Very unfortunate for him as he was running right there. Mike McConville comes out right behind TCB. Good pit stop for him. Kyle Hall right there with him as well. We'll have to see how these guys funnel out against the group that's already out there with Hunter Madalinas and Daniel Nanny. But really, really frustrating start for Matt Green on his first green flag pit stop here.
It appears Madalinas had some issue. He's just now going into turn 1, whereas the rest of the pack that pitted with him, they're up exiting turn 2 now down the back. As you see, that pack gets a big run, and they're just going to swallow up everybody that's coming off of pit road. I did hear some drivers talking pre-race, and they were mentioning about how the physics had changed just a little bit, and that if you pitted earlier, that you could the amount of speed that you would carry down off of the track versus those cars that are coming up to speed could get you in an advantage and vault you past them, depending on your pits. The smoothness of your pit stop, though, is it Looks like those 4 that were up there, up as the big pack, they catch them though. Ooh, I might have to bite my words here as Tyler McClellan's leading Daniel Nanny up to the front. Do they have something to get around Jared Darling and Milad Radman?
Well, Tyler McClellan is a lap down. He really needs to be right here. He wants to be right here at a minimum to try to get a lap back. Or I think this puts him back on the lead lap. So he's just hoping that Nanny pushes him as long as he can. But Nanny really wanted to draft off of those guys. They were all running the bottom. Tyler tried to run the top. I think Tyler's running a little too high for what Nanny wants. Again, Nanny a little bit more aggressive. Tyler a little bit newer to oval racing, more of a road course ringer. So potentially not doing what Nanny wants. Nanny dumps out of that lane, and the teammates will split off from there.
Tyler McClellan has the advantage for the first car 1 lap down. If a caution were to come out, he would have the lucky dog in hand. Adam Zorn nowhere in sight. So give that position all but to Tyler McClellan before anything happens here. And I have to bite my words with the commentator's curse. But looking like Tyler McClellan sitting handily in that lucky dog spot as the top 3 rather, are right back to where they were. And it's just that classic TCB affiliation dominance at Daytona.
Well, Tyler has the he has that lucky dog in hand right now, but currently Preston Henry about to go a lap down. 2 the leaders going into turn 1. He lost the draft out of those pit stops as well as Barb. And then Aiden DuPont is also a good bit off the group. So it looks like there's about 3 or 4 scragglers that Tyler will have to compete with. Adam Zorn is being shown 2 laps down right now behind that pack going into turn 1. So he evidently had a really frustrating pit stop. Something else to note is Matt Rodriguez has retired from the event, I believe. He is done for the day.
Big run here coming from the Spectrum guys on the outside. That's Spencer Owens being pushed by Eric Kepf in that iconic pink number 63. They're going to have something to say here coming through the tri-oval as Preston Henry goes a lap down. We'll have to see where he cycles back in, whether or not it's going to be a point of contention for Tyler McClellan. They're going to have to race out for that lucky dog spot. Milad to the outside, he's just going to take that spot and say, you know what? I refuse to let anyone else up here. It's just going to be, he's got those front 3 really have just a death grip on this race, and they're not giving it up easily.
No, and it's interesting to see Spencer Owens up here. Usually he's one that runs at the back, especially Eric Kepf, but I think they realize who's up front and that no one's really going to try to pressure them, so they're like, we'll go up and pressure him. So it looks like Spencer's going to be the pressure here with Eric behind. Austin Moore also very fast as a top 5 here. I believe finished top 5 a couple seasons ago in the season that Shane Neiswanger won. He ended up 2nd. So Austin's pretty good here, and he'll sit here and try to push Eric up through the front.
Just to paint you a picture here, we've got the big pack here, the main pack with all the leaders and those 2 aforementioned trucks the lap down. They're on the backstretch going down through the middle of it right now, right hitting the bus stop if we were road racing. Then a little bit farther back, them just coming off turn 2 now, is the 9, 8, and 10 truck of Madalinas, Delgado, and Robin Durr. They're going to get, and a big shot there from those 2. They're really trying to get packed up and push each other to try and get back to them. And then a little bit behind them is the 3rd pack here of the 24 of Matt Green, the 5 of Brent Kingcott, and the 19 of Adam Zorn. Now these three truck little packs here, historically, a little small group like that does have the potential to run down the big massive pack there. Whether or not it changes, it depends on how smoothly you can run and how much of a straight line you can stay in versus that big pack. And Elliot, can you shed any light on the situation as to whether or not those guys are going to be able to really run down that pack, or are they just stuck there and have to deal with their fate?
I'm not really sure that they'll be able to catch them with just 3 trucks. I think if you're going to do that, you probably need 5 to 7 trucks, as we see Barb's about to go a lap down here as well. Preston Henry's also at the back, if anyone was wondering. Tyler is sitting in the middle of this pack, so Nothing going on there as far as who's going to get the lucky dog, although now with Barb forcing everyone to the top, he might cycle into the middle of that battle. But I think if you're going to catch this pack, you're going to need a solid 5, 6, 7 trucks lined up. You can't really do it with just 3, especially I believe Delgado and a couple of those guys that we were talking about were involved in that first incident. They've got some damage, so it's going to be hard for them to really do anything. You need very clean, fast trucks to be able to do that. I mean, if you were TCB and Jared Darling and Milad Radman, maybe you're not worried, but if I'm back there and it's just me and a couple other guys, I'm not too excited about trying to catch that pack, 'cause I don't think it's happening.
Definitely not, and we'll have to look and see how they fare being out of this lead pack. Meanwhile, back at the front, Mike McConville looked like he had something to say there, pushing Jared Darling, and then that outside lane came roaring back, whereas those top 3 are just playing games with the rest of the field here. As the main pack seems to have formed back up, we're 2 by 2 once again, and it's going to be we're in the dog days of this race, if you will. We're well established. Everybody's in a rhythm. If anything, at this point, it's a matter of, can anybody break up these 3 at the front here? Austin Moore has finally made his way to the front as TCB ducks back out. Radman, it's just going to be that conveyor belt here. You get a lot of that here at these truck super speedway events, where the bottom is the per se shortest way around the track, but if the top lane gets a run all the time, and then you will see as we get a big scatter there in the back, Eric Kepf and Spencer Owens are dropping to the back, just to looking for clearer water, just as Gavin did earlier in the race. But that outside lane will get a big run, and then the lead truck of that outside lane will drop down into the bottom, and you get a conveyor belt effect. A lot of times you'll see as cars just continue to cycle up the outside lane and down the inside lane, and they'll come back around, as the top 3 here have just been executing that to perfection.
Yeah, they really do just kind of look untouchable at this point. I don't really see anyone able to contend with them. You've got guys like Austin Moore, Kyle Hall, Emilio Paredes, Mike McConville's up there, guys that I don't think are normally up towards the front every week, and these other 3 are just kind of having their way with it. But Emilio making a run on the top, and Mike's been there all day. McConville, I'm very interested to see how he manages the rest of this race with the track position that he's had all day. And Austin Moore, again, no one to put your hat on. He might do something up here. He's just gonna bide his time in that 5th spot. But interesting to see Gabe Truesdale and Kyle Hall up here. They're always fun to watch at the super speedways as well.
Definitely have to keep an eye on them. And worth noting here is we're coming to we're on the 36th lap of this 80 lap event. You don't win it on lap 36. These guys up here at the front, they have a death grip on it, but that may or may not be just because nobody else really has the care to go up there and race them. They're very confident to sit there and just sit there in the back. You've got Shane Nicewanger back there in 24th, Nathan Jump 25th. We know he took some damage, but he's been known to have some speed. Lewis Woodall there in the 15th position. They're guys to look for later on in the race when it gets down to that magical lap number 80. But for the time being, just content to ride back there and preserve their equipment.
There is a race within a race, and it's going on right behind Rod and Emilio with the 27 and the 95. They are hooked up on the top together, and they don't know where to go. But Tyler does not want to be behind Barb. He wants that lap. And now Rod's going to back him up just a little bit. So we're starting to form that conveyor belt again, but we've still got a little bit of racing going on between the 27 and the 95. That's pretty fun to watch, knowing that a caution could flip their race. They're running currently back in 31st and 32nd, and a single caution. They're currently in about the 7th, 8th position on track. So you can see that they have fast trucks. They just need a way back in it.
Always looming here. If it can strike on lap 1, it can strike at any lap here at Daytona. It's really a factor that really just keeps you on your toes here at these super speedway events. You'd think, just to the average spectator, that you would just get lulled to sleep just by sitting in line and running laps around this 2-mile oval. But you've always got to keep an eye out. It could happen in front of you, behind you, and it doesn't matter in these iRacing leagues. It'll bite you from wherever.
Well, the
So
other
always a head on the swivel type environment.
the other point is Barb goes up the middle here with Rod. Yep, I was about to say.
Rod gets into Mike McConville. I believe I saw Tyler and Will Barb get together.
Yep, they were both in that.
That's going to throw a huge wrench in the lap down race for the lucky dog there. Worth noting that if you are involved in the wreck, you do not get awarded the lucky dog. So neither of those cars, it looks like, are going to be awarded that. And it looks like it's going to go to Aiden DuPont, perhaps, is going to get his lap back.
I think they've got a little bit more to worry about than getting a lap back. But as I was trying to say there, as they made it happen right in front of us, you would think running single file is safe, but sometimes it's not because people get impatient and they, that was Barb forcing a hole and Rod just, I don't think Rod ever knew he was there and just kind of came down across his nose, and next thing you know, they're all just junked.
Look at the Mobile 1-4 there. His left wheel's all dented up and been in. That's going to be a lot of damage to repair. We'll take a quick break here to re-rack them and get pit road sorted out. And when we come back, we'll handle pit stops.
That's the dumbest record.
We're back here at the Daytona International Speedway. Big wreck here on the front stretch. And it's Rod Fosnaugh just was, I believe, was just focusing on the car in front of him and didn't see Will Barbagelata make that move to the bottom, to the middle there. And he just kept on coming down, and there was no hole to be filled.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate circumstance of, maybe Barb's a little bit aggressive in that situation, but Rod needs to be aware of what's around him. He's got two trucks that are trying to get a lap back there, and that was just an unfortunate circumstance for those guys to be in, and it destroyed Tyler McClellan and I believe William Barbagelata's race from there. But I think out of everyone, the big winner there was probably someone like Kyle Hall or Austin Moore, because that could have ended really, really bad for them, and they were just able to run the bottom and not touch anything, go through the grass, and just continue on and live to see another day. So another note there is Aiden DuPont got a lap back, and Michael Sensi gets a lap back. Michael Sensi now 3 laps down. Tyler McClellan, Matthew Rodriguez, both retired from the race. Barb continues with relatively minimal damage, albeit a lap down, as we're going to get ready to come back to the green as we're halfway down the backstretch.
They're dialing up here on the backstretch, getting ready to come back to green. And yeah, with a wreck like that, if you're not involved, you get to quote Casey Kerwin, a Moses moment where you just shoot through. You gotta do a physical check of yourself to make sure you're still breathing. Get those inhales and exhales going back again, because it gets hairy at those high speeds coming through that tri-oval.
Yeah, we are also halfway through this one, so we'll have to see if they get any more aggressive at the end here. Fuel may be an issue if they can only do 20 to 23 laps, considering we were pitting around lap 39, 38 there, so it'll be all down to fuel strategy, and you may not see these guys want to lead that much, although it's TCB. He's going to want to be out front. So your top three stack up the same way, basically. TCB on the inside, Jared Darling on the outside. Mike McConville puts himself in third. Milad Radman in fourth, and Emilio Paredes right there in fifth. So very similar top five to what we've had.
The pace car dives onto pit road as we're going to basically start the second half of this race. It's not a whole new race because we're missing a couple people and a couple got a bunch of dents and scrapes in there, but we're back at it and we're going to go for another 38 laps to decide this one here at Daytona.
I said Mike McConville in third. I'm sorry, that's Aiden Robertson right there, right behind TCB. Good push for him in the inside lane. Matt Durr has cycled back up. He's third truck in the outside lane. He's a good pusher, so watch for that top three in the top lane to actually get a run down the backstretch. Emilio kind of lays back. That's going to hurt the bottom lane. Kyle Hall gets a run down the backstretch now, so 4 trucks versus 3. And Austin Moore and Shane Neiswanger has found his way up to the front as well.
Shane Neiswanger has decided it is go time. He is up here the second half of this race. This is the part that matters, and he's found his way to the front, as he usually does. Interesting to see what he can do in that Zen Bandit number 49.
Looks like the outside lanes prevailing for now. The question is, how long do they stay stacked like this? Do they try to get it sorted out? Do they know they need to worry about fuel? Do they care about fuel? We're only halfway through, so maybe that's not really a concern to any of these drivers. But right now we are still 2 by 2. Radman going to try to get a push from Matt Durr.
Now, when these guys up here at the front, they're practically going wide open the entire way around this racetrack, just relying on the pushes that they get from others to go fast and to go even faster. Those guys back there in the back of the pack, they can afford to run at about 80% throttle roughly and still hang on. That's just how powerful the draft is. How much fuel can they save being at the back versus at the front?
Oh, in some cases, they're probably running 50 to 60% throttle, not even 80. So I'd say, they're probably saving about a lap, maybe 2 total throughout the entire run if it runs like that. It's not substantial, but in this situation where everybody pit on 39, if you can't go to 23, if these leaders can only do 20 he saved it.
Can he save
TCB
it? He saved it.
Wow.
Shades of Kyle Busch at Daytona in the duels a couple years ago. TCB was sideways. Aiden Roberson was looking at his door side numbers, and he kept it straight and retains the 4th position. Doesn't even really
He's going to push Kyle Hall to the lead.
He's going to come back up here within the same lap. What an effort from TCB. That's why we say his name so often, as he gives Kyle Hall a huge push here. Shane Neiswanger to the back of him. Those are going to be 2 powerhouses hooked up there. Going to be interesting to see what they can do. There's a reason we say TCB's name so often at these places, and you just saw it right there.
And TCB be the first to go to repeat at Daytona. 2 of them are right there. 2 winners at Daytona are right there. We'll have to see how they work together here and sort it all out towards the end. But back to what I was saying before that all happened, Jared actually got back up in the action too after dropping back a little bit. Now everyone's awake, so yeah, we wanted to know if we were going to get some action this second half. I think we're getting it, so that's cool.
So much for being lulled to sleep. We are back, and it didn't take long after that caution. You might say that everybody just was able to just shake off the rust there that had kind of accrued over being single file for so long, and they're getting racy here as the laps start to wind down here at Daytona.
So back to our fuel mileage talks. These guys, Radman, TCB, Jared, who's fallen back a little bit now, but throw like Shane, Aiden Robertson, and Kyle Hall in that mix now. These guys, because they're so wide open, flat out, as we got to move up in the top lane there with, I believe that's Nathan Jump making his
That's
way up to
Nathan
the front.
Jump. He's going to have something to say here. Notably, he had damage at the first wreck of this. Seems to have got it all repaired, and he's going to have somewhere to go. Is he going to have Jared Darling to help him? We know Jared wants to get back up to his buddies up there. Is Jump going to give him that avenue to get back up there? It looks like he'll just tuck in line for now.
So the fuel mileage is going to be interesting. If this does run green until the end, these guys up front will probably be very, very close, if not be able to make it. So we'll have to see how that sorts out as this goes on. But if they get a caution at any point between now and lap 60, they'll be in a really good spot to be able to make it to the end, just based off fuel.
Shane Neiswanger, no stranger to a fuel mileage win here at Daytona. That's how he got his 2 or 3 seasons ago, just by staying out. Everyone else pitted. He got that track position and did not let go for the final green-white checkered. So look for him to be conserving fuel and stay up here at the front for the end of this thing.
We're coming up on some lap cars. Even though most of this field is single filed out, you really, again, can't say that that's safe because of what just happened in our last caution. They were basically all single file with 3 guys on the bottom, or 3 guys on the top. It ended up being a big wreck. So those lap cars go to the top. It looks like Rod may have caught the wall there. Aiden stays out of the way, and the front group is all good to go. No major issue.
Shane Neiswanger calling it out there on the radio, saying lap cars go high, go high, go high. It can get hairy when it gets 3 wide. This track, Daytona, it's not as wide as Talladega. There may be 3 potential lanes, but there's not a lot of room between the 2 of them. When these guys get 3 wide, it can be hard to hold them, especially when that air gets to moving around and you get to pushing. It gets wiggly and it gets tight real fast here as they come through the trioval once again.
I was interested to see if Jump and Shane would work together. They talked about it in pre-race, but they both also ended up saying to each other that they're going to be a little bit selfish, and they're not really sure if they'll be able to work well. So interested to see them work their magic on this outside lane against Radman and TCB. They've also got Jared right back there that they're trying to hold at bay, not let in this trio mix. But I mean, so far they're getting the job done on the outside lane.
Jump and Neiswanger there on the outside. I can tell you, with a little stake in Dark Horse Motorsports myself, I can tell you that the 2511 stable and the Dark Horse stable, they're going to be working together trying to bust up this monopoly. Go Teddy Roosevelt on this trust fund we've got up here at the front here. So look for them to stick together and try and break this up as we get. Look at that. That's 3 Dark Horse Sports guys up there with the 2 Durs there in the back. Look for them to be a strong run. Speaking of which, the 2 Durs, we've already spoken about how Matt Durr's racing with I believe it's a dislocated knee. I'm not particularly sure which knee it is, but even so, to be able to do that and run as well as he did and is right now winning his duel and racing as competitively as such, it's a Herculean effort. And his father, Robin Durr, right behind him. Robin's at this point, he's a veteran of the league, been around here for a couple seasons. It's been so awesome to see him grow and mature in this league to be a really competitive truck at this point. It's been great to see him mature, and that's what we love about these iRacing leagues is to get you build this sense of community here, and you really get something special with everybody wanting to get. Obviously, it's a race out there. It's huge. We're wheel to wheel. We're fighting all the time, but you still want the league itself to get better, and you do that by helping others, helping the not so fast guys, the guys that aren't battling up here week in and week out for the number 1, number 2 spots. So the fact that this league can come together and continue to grow and get new people who are at this point lifetime members, with how long some of them have been here. I know you can speak for that yourself, Elliot, but it's awesome that the community that we've grown here, and you're seeing it in Robin Durr's performance here today.
Yeah, you saw Jump make a move as well to the outside lane, and I don't think you realized he had Jared Darling behind him because Jared did not go with him, and that cycled him out. He's no longer in this little group. Oh boy, that got tight between
Ooh,
Shane and TCB, but
Shane did not want him coming down.
we've got a bunch of well, we've got a bunch of the same players up here, but being a little bit more aggressive and closer up to the front. You've got Kyle Hall, you've got Matt Green. I believe that's Mike McConville, but nope, that's still Aiden Robertson. I keep getting their trucks mixed up. And then Robin Durr up here on the outside lane, as you were mentioning.
Yeah, Shane Nicewanger, he held the lead there for about a lap or so, and then his only ally up there in Nathan Jump that could really contain these top three here kind of fell back, and now it's all Malad Radman, TCB, and Jared Darling again as they're controlling these two lanes here. Got Shane Nicewanger pinned down in the bottom.
We haven't been talking about it, but there is a group forming behind these guys. This is ultimately a large pack. You've got Ashton Lawson, Preston Henry back here battling for the lucky dog, the wave around, free pass, whatever you want to call it. Michael Sensi's fallen into this group. Austin Moore's back here. There's a whole second pack that's just biding their time, waiting this out. They still have close to 25, 30 laps left in this thing, and they know it. You got Daniel Nanny, Hunter Madalinas, couple of the front runners that existed that are just kind of falling back here, not really making anything happen. And then don't forget about Spencer Owen still sitting there right around the 15th spot, and Louis Woodall. I mean, there's a lot of guys shuffling back and forth here, and you can see actually by Louis's run, couldn't show it on the broadcast right there, but down the backstretch, he came about 5-6 cars around the outside. So if you want to put 2 or 3 trucks together, you can pass a whole line of trucks that are down on the bottom. They're just chilling because they're just running that, like we talked about, 60-80% throttle. They're not trying to go anywhere. And you can get right up back behind this main pack up here in about the top 10, top 15.
The energy is building, and it is building quickly. Now, those drivers, everybody here still has to pit at least one more time. Nobody can make it to the end. So those guys everybody here is going to have to cycle out to single file or multiple laps of pit stops as we've seen before. Everybody still has to come to pit road, but you can tell there in the back just watching, those cars are getting antsy, and so are the drivers. And at some point, it's going to come to a head, and it's going to come to a head in a big way.
I think that's why you've seen guys like Shane Nicewanger and Nathan Jump fall back there. Like you see, Shane wasn't really pressuring anything there. Now the top is completely stacked up, and the bottom is just exposed. But Shane was just kind of sitting a good car length, 2 car lengths off of Malad Radman there, and just kind of probably saving some fuel, saving a little bit of his truck, and trying to get through and make sure that he could pit past lap 60. If these guys can make it to about lap 60, I think they're good from there, at least from what we've heard. Pitting, on 59, 58 could get dodgy. You're definitely not going to be able to lead the pack that entire run and expect to make it all the way to the end. But you also have the guys that'll sit here and run hard and pit on lap 58 and know they can't make it on fuel and just hope that caution comes out with 2 or 3 laps to go. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we'll have to see as it gets nearer to the end. You can already see they're a little bit more aggressive, though, coming off turn 4.
Lap starting to wind down here at Daytona. We're on lap 56 out of 80. TCB leading them back once again down into turn 1. The field's really starting to stack up in the lanes of 2. That big pack there in the back that we were just talking about, they've caught these guys, and they're starting to stack up as we're winding down here closer to pit stops. Michael Sensi back there, 7 rows back, 4 laps down. He's not done with this. If we get a lot of wrecks, and it's been known to get that way, he might still have something to say here if he can take the wave around a couple times, get a lucky dog or 2. He might still be in this thing.
Yeah, I think he's probably frustrated. He's lost the draft a couple of times. He'd probably be close to 2 laps down if he played his cards right throughout the middle of the race, but he got caught out with, obviously he has engine damage. He has some type of damage, and he needs to be within the pack to be able to keep up, and through pit stops or something, he went another lap down at one point. So he's stuck 4 laps down, but I think, this is where you see guys wanting to put themselves in a good spot for the last pit stop. You want to come out of this pit stop in the main pack. You don't want to lose a draft, so you want to be up towards that top 10 points. So when you pit, you know you're going to be okay. And then from there, you just want to stick around there and be there at the end in these last 20 laps. So you see a lot of these guys just kind of, you know, the pack starts to come back together and accordion back up. So how about Matt Green though in that top lane, working with Matt Durr, the two Matts up there, and Gabe Truesdale, Louis Woodall, Nathan Jump. That's a pretty interesting top line, all working together, trying to get it done with these three powerhouse cars that have been here all night with Jared Darling, TCB, and Milad Radman.
It's going to be really interesting to see if this pack can break up that trust up there in the front. Matt Durr slips down in front of Shane Neiswanger, his
You
teammate.
can see that's a planned move.
They're
getting ready to pit. It might be this time by.
You gotta wonder when they're coming, because it's coming and it's coming soon. We're on lap 59. These guys, they're on the fringe of making it. Pit stops are bound to happen right here as Michael Barbagelata goes lap down up there in the 22. The field comes down off of turn 4. Gets a little hairy there. Michael Barb is in the wall up there just to keep it out of everybody's way. We appreciate him being considerate as the field flashes by. No pits, no takers this time as we keep it going here. Lap number 60 as they dive off into turn 1.
I'd have to say, since we pitted around lap 39 and these guys are still leading up there and they're getting to lap 60 and able to complete it, I think everyone can make it from here. I don't think there's any worry about that. It looks like fuel mileage is more towards about 20 to 22 laps, so they should be good to go if they pit this time by. Even if they want to sit there and try to lead the thing, it'll probably be really close if you're, you know, PCB or a Radman and you're going to try to lead from here and just kind of hold everyone at bay. But if you're Shane Neiswanger or Matt Durr and you want to sit here 3rd and 4th and just kind of bide your time, you're going to be really set and potentially have enough for a green-white checkered. Because that's the other thing we haven't talked about. You know, it's fine to save enough fuel to get you to the end of the race, but you don't want to pit when that green-white checkered comes out. If they wreck coming to the white and there's a yellow and a green-white checkered, you don't want to pit at that point. You want to make sure that you have that track position. So you gotta wonder if these guys are thinking about that or if they're just trying to get through this pit stop and, you know, make assumptions on what's going to happen in the last 5-10 laps.
If those top 3 can make it, anybody can make it in terms of fuel. It's with how they've been up at the front here, you know their foot has been to the floor, and everybody else has been able to save at least a drop. So if they can make it, anybody can make it. So I think it's safe to say that fuel saving is out of the question here, as the field has all but single file.
We're going to watch on board with Shane as he comes down pit road. You can see how it gets done.
Jared Darling notably jumps out of line, leaves his 2 buddies up there in the front, the Dark Horse boys, as it looks like there's extracurriculars in the back. Nathan Jump is sideways in his pit stall.
He didn't get in his stall. He got tagged by Adolfo. Adolfo got turned by Robin Durr. They're all going to be messed up there. The 74 truck of John Barry's also missed his stall.
Wild happenings here on pit road, and it's I'm trying to go back and see the replay here, and it looks that Adolfo tried to make his stall and just didn't see Jump or just clipped him. And
I'd say he timed it a bit wrong.
Yep, just missed it.
Pit stops happening for E95, Kyle Hall, Aiden DuPont, Preston Henry nearly gets into Zach. Oof, a couple Dark Horse boys.
Yep, what Dark Horse boys didn't pit on that last time, they're coming this time with the rest of them. And it looks like that's... How many people are left out there now? Is that the rest of the field?
I think that's mainly the field. Matt Green just had the most aggressive pit entry right there into his stall. He nearly looped it. I don't know what kind of brake bias or something he's got in there. We've still got the Spectrum boys out here, I think. Maybe? Or they came down. No, they came down in that first round. So that's it. These are the groups on pit road, or on track now.
This is it here as the leaders. That first group, you got Matt Durr, Jared Darling, Shane Neiswanger. That group of 6 right there. It's going to be interesting to see if they can leapfrog this pack who are just now coming out of the pits. It doesn't look like it with how smoothly they got off of pit road. There goes Zach Henry. Daniel Nanny starting to get swallowed up. It's going to be a drag race down the back, as it looks like the 88 and Kyle Hall are going to be your leaders here, depending on how much of a run. And there goes TCB and Radman. They're not even waiting to get full speed. They see the pack coming behind them, and they're saying, not this time. They're not letting anybody up there. once again, just denying. As we got a spin in the back. Who was that? Was that Robin Durr?
That was Robin Durr. He saved it. He just got sent to the inside, but he is still trucking.
He's trucking along, got some damage to that right side. You got to wonder if that's from the pit stall or from the incident on pit road, or if that's from that damage back there. But back up front, it's TCB, Radman, and Darling all back up there and not giving an inch.
I believe we're going to take our last commercial break here.
We'll be right back with GLTS from Daytona. Back at Daytona here, and we've got a big wreck that just happened in turn 4. Shane Neiswanger, Louis Woodall, Aiden Roberson, very heavy hitters, have all just been involved in a wreck. How TCB did not get into the wall out of all this is beyond me.
I think the cleanest truck out of this is going to be Matt Durr. Radman made some contact. TCB made some contact. Jared Darling made some contact, but I can't tell how bad that is for those three. They might be okay. And then Aiden and Madelinas also made some heavy contact door to door there, but TCB and Jared are going to stay out and try to see how this goes. You can see Eric Kep's POV there. Nearly had that. I thought he did for a second, but you know, brakes in the trucks just don't really work when the truck weighs that much and you're doing 180, 190 miles an hour. So he did about all he could to save that. But the fact that TCB held on to this is mind-boggling to me. But that puts Matt Durr in the catbird seat. Here's the rear view of that's TCB. There's Jared to the inside.
He got turned into. How he's not just in the outside wall is beyond me. He had to see it coming. Had to have seen it coming, and then had the wheel already extra turned to the left to keep it out.
Yeah, that's very good pre-awareness from TCB to know that that's going to happen in his rearview mirror. You can see Aiden kind of peeking his nose to the inside of Shane. He just probably assumed it. Shane gave a pretty awkward bump to Durr, which all shoved him up the hill a little further than I'm sure Shane wanted to be, but they were just trying to force TCB and, well, they were trying to force Radman out. He got put in the middle, and TCB went up there and said, I'll help you out, and unfortunately, it ended up hurting the Dark Horse guys and taking out Shane Neiswanger and Aiden Robertson. I believe both of their days are pretty much done. Shane backed it into the wall and then got turned around and also had some front end contacts. So his chance of potentially winning this could have just gone up in smoke. I say could have because we don't know what else might happen. These guys could always take each other out. We've still got over 10 laps left in this one. So the one thing we know for sure, fuel mileage is no longer a concern. We are here to the end. Everyone should be good. The only question now is, because these guys aren't pitting under yellow, how much they can save for green, white, checkers.
Look at the side and the rear of that number 3 truck. TCB has sustained damage. It might not hurt the horsepower of that truck, but it's sure going to hurt the aero. Is that going to be a factor going forward?
Huge factor. Absolutely. I mean, you want as much aerodynamic performance as you can get from these trucks. I think TCB is a lot more hurt than Jared Darling, but it's all kind of rear. If it was front end, I'd be a lot more concerned. Jared's is front end, so that just means that he can't lead that line. TCB can still push, he can still lead. It's all rear end damage, so he should be okay. The big question mark is just what these guys back here that survived it are going to do. We've been saying their names all night, but they just haven't really shown the aggressiveness that these top 3 or 4 now at Matt Durr being up there have really shown to put themselves in position to win this. You've got Kyle Hall, Emilio Paredes, Austin Moore, and Spencer Owens back here. These guys have all been, we've had the same top 10 for the last 20 laps, it feels like, you know, with Shane Neiswanger and now Aiden Robertson being taken out, but these guys have been up here and they just haven't done anything to put themselves in a spot to win. Let's see what they can do. We're coming to the green flag after this half lap here as they're down the backstretch.
Spencer Owens and the 66 of Emilio Paredes, 2 teammates, I believe. They'll be able to look for them to be working together. Brent Kingcott in the 5, Jackson Sims in the 6. Look for them to be ganging up on these guys out here. It's now you're going to start finding your dance partners. Obviously, those top 3, they know who they're dancing with, and it doesn't seem like they're letting them go for anything. TCB was holding on to Radman's hand as he started to fall back through that field just before that wreck happened. So if Matt Durr can find a dancing partner up here, he might just be fine. We'll have to see if anyone else up here. Kyle Hall, I believe he's by himself, not on a team. Maybe they can look to work together or something. Nathan jumps back there behind Jackson Sims. We'll have to see if he can get up there with Matt Durr. We've seen him and the Dark Horse boys working together all day long. As the field comes through the tri-oval, the pace truck dives down the pit road. The green flag's back out. We're back underway. Lap number 70 out of 80. 10 to go here at Daytona.
Yeah, you mentioned Kyle Hall, you mentioned Matt Durr. Those are probably the only 2 that could work together. You've got, you know, this whole group. Nanny and Jump immediately went to the outside lane. They're trying to make something happen. Austin Moore's up there. Austin, teammate to Nanny, might jump up there and get something done. Jump's partner, Shane, is now out, so he's really just got the E95 boys around him, and he's not afraid to work with Nanny. Nanny's aggressive, but Jump likes that. So, and they're making headway down the backstretch. Wow.
A huge run down the back from the 2 of them. It's easy to get 3 wide. It's impressive how well 2 cars here. As you see, Eric Kepps jumps up. Maybe going to help him. Nope, he dives back in line, thinks better of it. As those 2 guys are hanging out there about 4 rows back, trying to make headway up there as TCB dives down to the bottom of the racetrack. We'll have to see how his truck doesn't look like it's any worse for wear. He's still hanging out there in the top. Firing on all cylinders.
No, that was my thought process too, is that TCB could probably lead. Jared's probably the one that's a little bit more concerned about trying to lead with the damage done to the front of his truck. That 30 truck is pushing that 25. Nanny knows how to push, and he can get it done without overheating that truck, and that is what's keeping them in contention. I mentioned multiple times tonight how bad the truck will heat up, and you know, you can only push for so long as Durr gets pushed to the
Matt Durr goes for a
inside.
spin. Can he hang on to it down there in
He
the infield?
saved
He
it.
does. He's going to bring it back up here. A whale of a performance by him to keep that truck sideways. Unfortunately, we're going to have to see if he's going to be able to hang on to this draft or not. It looks like he might hang on to the stragglers, but he came up and it looked like a combination of him coming up.
Oh, they're wrecking.
In turn two, the back half of that field is involved. Oh my goodness! As somebody comes flying in there. Eric Kep's involved, the 88's involved, the 24, 26, Zach Henry sideways on the backstretch. Huge wreck here out of the turns on lap 72.
Oh man. It looked like Nanny and Jump were going to be Superman after Matt Durr got sent to the inside, and then they were just going to be able to get to the outside lane. But Sims put a nose in the middle of it, and then it looks like him and Eric just kind of collect each other, and Jump kind of slows up Nanny because they're just kind of trying to move. And from there, Adolfo clips Jared Darling, and Kyle Hall's in it really hard. Wow.
Eric Kep's was following Daniel Nanny down there just a half a lane below Jump, and it was right in the same real estate that Jackson Sims was trying to occupy. And I want to know how Jackson. I didn't even see Jared got involved in this.
If you want a Moses moment, Michael Sensi absolutely made his way through something that he should not have.
I want to see this because we'll have to get a. Can we get a POV shot of Michael Sensi going through this? Because I just got a glimpse of that black number 37, and we'll have to see. So there's the turn. He's smack in the middle of the track. He's got nowhere to go. Outside, inside. Oh, man, right. Just missed Kyle Hall. Just missing. That's Brent again. What a performance. Hard on the brakes there, trying to save whatever's left of that truck. He's still 4 laps down, but nonetheless still soldiering on.
And that's potential points. That's at least 2 or 3 trucks completely out of this event with heavy damage with Kyle Hall. He got put in the wall really bad, has no nose on the truck. There's points to be made there for Sensi, so that's a big deal to avoid that.
Eric Kep unfortunately could not avoid this one. He got a lucky break in the last one, was not able to avoid this one. It was just all around him here. Because we've got an onboard look at Jared Darling. Yep. He just got turned. There's no way you can know what's happening. You're looking out the mirror, and that's just a right rear tag that you can't see coming. It's really unfortunate. We'll have to see how this affects the trio that he had going with TCB and Radman to see if 2 can hang on to this lead better than 3.
Yeah, it's a similar case of guys in the top lane trying to get out of it and survive, and just coming down the track and not being completely aware of who's there, or thinking they're clear of the guy that's right there, and they just ultimately clip them ever so slightly. It's amazing to me that Jump, who was one of the initial people I thought was going to get turned, is one of the people that survived that, because it ended up being Nanny that got put in the outside wall. I thought with how they were positioned going into that corner, we were going to get basically what happened with Aiden and Shane, but with Nanny and Jump, and it did not happen. But Jump's still here to fight it out.
Laps winding down here. This is lap number 74. When we get going, it's going to be laps 75, 76, 77-ish when we get going here. And we see this a lot in this league and in racing specifically. The great Larry Mack is quoted as saying, "Cautions breed cautions." You've seen it. The action is picked up and the cautions have come with it. So we'll have to see who can win this war of attrition to see if they can keep it straight, or we're just going to have a wreck fest here going to the end.
I'll tell you what, this 3 truck should be on a truck right now, on a flatbed. I don't understand how he's leading this, and if this is who wins this race, I will be absolutely astonished. I mean, we know he can get it done. I'm not saying because of talent. I just can't believe that he survived what should have been a right rear to the outside wall. That truck should be absolutely obliterated, just like Jared Darling was. But man, that was a piece of driving for him to avoid that, and it's got him in the catbird seat to win this race. It's basically going to be whatever him and Radman do on this restart that could decide this because, Austin and Emilio could work with each other. No one behind them are teammates. You've got Emilio, you've got Austin Moore, you've got Nathan Jump and Alex Feder. If you want to go through teams, Feder's probably the closest. He's good friends with TCB, so it's good to have him up there. But Austin Moore, E95 Esports, Emilio Paredes, I believe, is part of Spectrum. And then Nathan Jump is part of 2511, Gavin Fitzgerald part of Spectrum, Spencer Owens part of Spectrum back there. So you don't really have a lot of Spectrum guys have a lot of friends, but these guys don't really have friends. I think their biggest bet is to try to beat this 29 and this 3. That's what they need to focus on.
That's got to be priority number 1 here, breaking that up. They can sort out the details after the fact, but first of all, it's got to be those 3 there. I usually have an aversion to people running the Dale Earnhardt schemes on these trucks. It puts a sore taste in my mouth, but TCB is making a strong case that he might be earning it tonight. As we look back through the field here, you see Louis Woodall and Matt Durr, and not too far behind him, Shane Neiswanger poking his head up in there. Whether or not that's a result of just being the ones left, or him driving back up through the field. He's still up there. Look for those guys to try and make a charge here. As we're going to be coming to the green, we're going to have 5 laps to go. It's going to be a shootout tonight here in Daytona. The green flag's back out. TCB leads them across the line, down into turn 1. Austin Moore giving Radman a huge push there. Look for them to try and make something happen, but that bottom lane is just formed up too good. I don't think it's going to happen this time.
One note here, there are 25 drivers still on the lead lap. You can go from 1st to 25th. I mean, you could go from 1st to nearly 30th. There's upwards of 26th through 29th is only a lap down, so
big
you've
run
got to be
coming from
careful.
Louis Woodall and Matt Durr. Look at the run they got down the back, up to the second lane. Can they get to the front?
That top lane on these restarts is it. I don't know why more people haven't tried that. We've seen it multiple times with 2 trucks just driving around the pack, and now they've got this arrow situation where I think they're in a positive spot if they can get more trucks up there, or if Matt Durr can actually push him around. Louis might be able to clear. They're 3 wide at the line. Louis leads that lap.
Here comes the help up there. Spencer Owens, Gabe Truesdale. Looks like Shane Neiswanger's coming up there to help his teammates. We know exactly where he's going. He loves helping his teammates. As they're 3 by 3 back to the line, or back off of 2, that is. TCB trying everything that he can to hold these guys back. It's going to be a Herculean effort to keep them back. But if anybody can do it in this field, it's going to be him.
2 former Daytona winners, 3, sorry, with Matt Durr being there, and a bunch of guys that just want to get this done. Radman nearly turns TCB. They're wrecking in the back. Gavin and Alex Feder made contact.
Gavin just drove up. I guess he thought he was clear, or maybe he had a tire go down or something, because he looked like he just took that corner straight when it came up there. We'll have to go back and see the replay, but
I don't know if maybe Feder got close enough that it kind of hooked him up into him. That does happen. If the guy on the outside gets close enough, it just kind of drags the guy on the inside up towards him. It's a little bit of that arrow effect, and I'm surprised it didn't do anything to the 3 wide situation that was up front. But yeah, I thought the wreck was going to be for the lead, and we ended up getting a wreck for about 8th, 9th there.
That seems to be how it's happening. While we're looking one way, the action's happening in another direction. It's all over the place here in this field as we get another look at it. Big bobble by TCB there. And then, yeah, Gavin just, once again, I was looking at TCB and did not get a good look at what happened there in the pack.
Yeah, it just looks like to me that Feder and Gavin just kind of came together. They both just migrate towards each other, and it just pulls Gavin up towards Feder. And then at that point, as soon as you're kind of hooked on, like, unless Feder just turns right, there's nothing either of them can really do. They're just kind of hooked together. So that's going to be that. Luckily, it was only a 2-truck incident.
Lucky it wasn't more. These trucks tend to have a little magnetism to them. They like to find each other in those instances where they get to touching. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out after all this. Coming to pit stops here, it doesn't look like anyone's gonna take anything. I mean,
like I said, this is that point.
Early.
This is that point. 3 laps to go. You're not pitting at this point.
Your bed is made here.
Emilio Paredes is the leader, by the way. It is not TCB. And another quick note, Shane Neiswanger, who I had pretty much out of this after backing into the fence, somehow that truck's still moving, and he's up right around 10th.
He's got a lot of fight in him. It's impressive to see him staying alive in that Zen Bandit number 49.
Emilio's going to have to hold off a former Daytona winner, Jump, who's just been on fire in this series recently. I think he's won 2 or 3 of the last 5 races. Radman, who won 3 of his 6 starts last season, so another one. Louis Woodall, who again, former Daytona winner. And then Austin Moore, who, man, if he could just get in the right spot, could probably put one away, but still winless through his career so far.
Louis Woodall, very infamously, probably the closest person to have a Daytona and a Talladega win, if I'm correct. Or does anyone have in this series have a Daytona and a Talladega win here?
Well, you're speaking to him, but Louis Woodall would have been close if the computer gave it to him over Nanny, but he ended up backwards at Talladega, and it wasn't enough. And fortunately for him, he got it done at Daytona back in season 6 over Ashton Lawson and Brandon Barkuski. But yeah, we'll see if he can be the first repeat, if TCB can be the first repeat, or if one of these guys up here can get it done for the first time. How about, Emilio with a real Trevor Bayne type approach here? Hasn't done much of anything yet in this series, runs kind of part-time, only ran full-time a few seasons ago. Not sure what his plans are for the rest of this season, but he's sitting here with an opportunity to win this race. And, we've been saying his name all night, but I also was saying that none of these guys, him, Austin Moore, Kyle Hall, none of those guys were able to put themselves in a spot to take the lead, and here he is with the lead coming to the first of 3 green-white checkers.
Daytona has a habit of bringing everyone out of the woodwork. Everybody can win this race. Not everybody can win this race, but anybody can win this race here. It really is a shootout if you can just stay alive, as we've proved here. We're going to have to see if we're going to have to use all 3 of these green-white checkers. It's a good thing that we've got multiple of them, because we might be using them here with how the action's been ramping up here in the later stages of this opening season opener in at Daytona.
Quick update of guys that are laps down or out of the race. Rod Fosnaugh has returned back to the track after his incident. He is 12 laps down, scored in 34th. William Barbagelada is 35th out of the race. Tyler McClellan 36th out of the race, and Matt Rodriguez 37th out of the race. Kyle Hall still sitting on pit road, scored in 33rd. I believe his night's done with how he ended up in the outside wall. John Berry 6 laps down in 32nd. Jackson Sims is 31st, 5 laps down, still going. And Michael Sensi, like I said, every time that big wreck happens, that's positions. He's now 30th. It's still 4 laps down, but it's gone from dead last on the field up to 30th. That's 7 spots gained and 7 points later on in the season.
7 points can win you a championship, and I'm sure you're well aware of that fact there. Every little point matters in the Great Lakes Truck Series. We've got 16, 17 races on this schedule, and they all count.
Regular season champs mean about as much as a full-time season champ in a lot of people's eyes with how many races it takes to get to the end of the season. So, every point counts early on, especially down to the wire, but really much at the beginning of these seasons.
An interesting detail to note: in this league, the leader does have choice whether to take the inside or the outside lane. And Emilio had the opportunity to take the outside and split up the pairing of TCB and Malad Radman, but he did not take it, interestingly enough. So those 2 are lined up already on the outside. Big jump out of Emilio on the jump. We'll have to see how that fares as that outside lane gets hooked up, and here they come.
I was going to say, I think you want to jump on the outside or jump with him, because Jump's a really good pusher, but they just mistimed that jump, hit him. Emilio took off and Jump did not go. It's not really how you restart here, and the outside just showed them why, as all 3 of them are going to drive around Jump, and Austin Moore might just get clear of Emilio. Not quite. How about James Shiflett being pushed by Hunter Madalinas in the top lane?
Couple of beverage wars going on there in the sixth, seventh, eighth positions there on that. We'll have to see if they can make their way to the front as TCB's got his claws back in that lead. Big push there from, is that James Shiflett on the back of Austin Moore?
Yeah, they're not really getting it done, though. You saw a lot of wiggling. Madalinas is trying to get Shiflett out of that line, it looks like, and it looks like he's just going to dump low, and him and Matt Durr are going to try to go around Shiflett. Matt Durr's actually going to stay up there, but Austin Moore just needs a little bit more help. Shiflett wasn't really giving him the push he needed. Now Moore's going to go backwards. Madalina's going to go around him. The lead is now changing. TCB gets turned. Emilio's turned. They're all wrecking.
Oh, my goodness. Everyone's involved. Emilio is flipping on the backstretch. This is the white flag lap, by the way. Milad Radman, it's just going to be a drag race.
It's Madalinas and Radman to the line.
To the line. Is Madalinas going to have the draft? He's going to push him, goes down low. Looks low. He's going to have him. He's up there bumping to the line.
It's Jordan Radman.
Radman. Radman takes it at the line. Oh, my goodness.
And just like that, we are 9 for 9 with different winners. Madalinas comes so close to getting his second Daytona win, and we were just, I wasn't even aware that that was the last lap. That was a move that Radman made down the backstretch, and it put him in victory lane. Actually, he didn't even make a move. He pushed TCB, and it got TCB so out of shape that he just went to the outside of him, and TCB had nowhere else to go and ended up getting shoved by Emilio and Jump and everyone else.
Only one person can win this race, and Radman showed that it was going to be him over his drafting partner TCB tonight. What a performance by him. Just, I can't wait to go back and look at the laps led between the three of them, but what a performance by him. Just pushes him. He just pushes him low.
Yeah, and then Emilio just kind of came down into Jump, and it all just went from there. And I really thought that Madalinas was going to have that, but he went low instead of trying to get to that outside. I feel like if he would have just gotten to the outside quarter panel of Radman, he may have been able to drag him, but from there they go up and door each other and come into the line. They couldn't do anything. You can see the big hits there, and Emilio eventually goes over and flips.
Shades of Truesdale gone at Talladega, flipping into turn 3 there. Luckily, this is virtual and nobody's getting hurt or anything, because that would have been scary. As we're gonna take a look here and show you Madalinas' run to the finish here. He was just in the right place at the right time. It's crazy to think of how he was right there with him. Could have easily been involved in this. If he doesn't go low right there, he's done. And it's Radman's race right there, and there's no shot at it. Great heads-up driving by him. He went into the grass.
You gotta wonder if he wants this back, if he would have just held it right here, and I think he jumps a bit early if he just needed to sell high. If he could have gotten that outside, you gotta wonder if maybe he could have gotten there, but I think he was nervous about something like that, where basically if he goes high, Radman just doors him and they can't go anywhere.
The side drafting on these trucks is massive, but it seems to be worth a little bit more on the right side of the truck rather than it is the left. Something to have to look back to. We'll have to get Madalinas in here and get his opinion on the matter. Great drives from all of them, as Radman's over here trying to go to victory, trying to go to the virtual victory lane. Unfortunately, I don't think iRacing hasn't loaded that in here. But great race by him tonight. We'll have to get his take on all of that. An impressive run by everyone here tonight in the season opener at Daytona.
Yeah, we'll definitely get interviews going and try to get Radman, Madalinas, and how about Gavin Fitzgerald finishing that one out in third. And shout out to Gabe Truesdale coming all the way back to fourth. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest note here is Jared Darling was turned into the outside wall, 10, 15 laps ago, and I don't think anyone expected him to finish sixth out of where he was about 10 laps ago. I thought that truck was gone. I was not aware.
He should have been racing Michael Barbagelata for 29th, one lap down. It's something was with those three trucks that dominated all night. There's nothing else to be said. They've got it going on.
got to be frustrated for someone like Emilio Paredes, who had at a minimum, probably a top 5 there right at the end. Ran so well towards the end of that race. Ended up coming home 15th, not the finish he wanted. Still a solid effort, but had so much more to show for that towards the end of that one. Nathan jumped down there in 20th. Really frustrating run for him after where he was running towards the end. Louis Woodall, who looked like he was going to get there until that last that second to last wreck happened. And a couple of these guys down here that we really didn't talk about too much of the night, like Zach Henry and James Shiflett, who were, just trying to make their way back up towards the front and never really could after a lot of the early drama.
And then you get down in here into the guys who were involved in those earlier wrecks. Matt Rodriguez, miraculously, everybody survived that lap 1 wreck, that lap 1 caution. Everybody survived and was able to soldier on. So no immediate DNFs out of here tonight, but some damage is just too much to overcome as we go back and look up at the top of the board here. A Herculean effort by Radman and TCB and Jared Darling here tonight. Still managing to come away with. Lord knows their trucks weren't pretty at the end of the night, but dang it if they weren't up there for them.
Jared Darling will be another statistic of leading the most laps and doesn't get the job done. Pretty unfortunate, frustrating run for him, but I think to finish 6th for him tonight is honestly just, I'm sure he's speechless, because I can't even believe that I'm seeing his name in the top 10 after where he was sitting after that one accident.
31 laps led, TCB 24, Radman the next with 7. He proved to be the pusher of the night, and it rewarded him. Karma comes back around for those helping your friends out, as these stats here show. Huge effort from Adolfo Delgado coming out of the woodwork here to finish 8th, running his number there in the number 8 truck. Awesome to see him back out here. Hopefully he sticks around and comes and hangs with us more often as we head off to the next track next week.
Well, to help you out, we're going to Phoenix next week and then off to Michigan. But Phoenix, a very different deal. We'll get into that a bit later. I believe we're going to get ready for some interviews potentially here in the coming minutes. I believe we've got Hunter Madalinas down there waiting. If we can bring him up, and I'll take second place and then hand off to you for Radman or Gavin whenever they get in.
Sounds good.
Hunter Madalinas, runner-up once again here at Daytona. Unfortunately, thought you were going to be able to get that second victory here, but it did not pan out. How did that race feel from the driver's seat there? Because I know there was a lot of different moments, and you guys were racing hard, but also racing really cautious at certain points. How'd that go for you overall?
Yeah, I was really happy to qualify P2 and not have to run the heat races. So I was able to watch those and kind of learn a lot about, what kind of guys were doing to hold up to the lead. First part of the race went really good. I tried kind of staying up front, and then towards the second half of that first run, I kind of went back. And then that first pit stop, I slid through my box, dropped about 15 seconds off the field, and then we just get caution after caution. It was kind of that caution with about 10 to go that I was like, all right, it's time to go. Push my way up to the front, and on that last lap, I could see on the backstretch how they were moving. They were gonna wreck. I went to the bottom and got myself clear of that wreck, and then I saw it was just me and Radman, and coming off the 4. I tried to get to his outside. He blocked it. Tried to go bottom. He got most of the block on it, but we were so close trying to go back to back, but it coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, would you have done anything different there on that coming out of turn 4? Because it looked like you had just enough to like space and run wise to get to that outside, and worst case, if Radman tried to pull a nasty block, he could have just kind of turned left and put him in the outside wall, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch style. Is that something that may have crossed your mind halfway through that, or were you just kind of focused on trying to get home clean and make sure you got that second place finish at a minimum?
Yeah, no, points was more important to me, so I was, although the win would have been nice, I was just kind of also just trying to get a second place finish or even coming up with a win there. I think the only thing I did a little bit wrong was, we locked entering the tri-oval, and once you're locked, you're not gonna get past the other person. So he was able to get the lock in front of me, and yeah, it's just it was really a really nice block, and it's funny to see that the guys who qualified first and second are going to come home first and second.
Yeah, it is ironic that that actually happened. I think that's probably a first here. Unfortunately, we also didn't get the first repeat winner, but we've now got 9 different winners. You can add Radman to that list. Madalena's coming up just short, 0.018 seconds short. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to sponsors and teams?
Yeah, thanks to all the E95 guys. They were great all night. Thanks to all you guys for broadcasting, watching, and we're just ready to go win it next week.
Sounds good. We'll see you in Phoenix, Madalenas. Good run tonight. Congrats on second place.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, I'll go ahead and drag up Gavin, and we'll continue on.
Let's get our third place driver, Gavin Fitzgerald, in here. Gavin, it's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Well, let me tell you something. You took a shot on the backstretch there to hold on to it and still manage to finish third. That was a big hit. I'm going back and looking at it right now. Did you see that wreck coming, or did you have any intuition whatsoever, or was it just right place, right time?
Yeah, I knew a wreck was coming. I didn't know when, I didn't know where. I knew I got the chance to talk to Emilio before that restart, and it was basically he asked kind of like for some guidance, and I kind of told him, I'm like, I don't know what you got to do, but you've just got to keep TCB and Malad separated from each other. So I knew he had jump up there with him, and I kind of knew my enemy is my friend, so I knew jump was going to try and work with him. And when I saw them jump out, I could even tell from that couple cars back, I was like, this isn't going to end well. And the second I saw the smoke, I just went left. I tagged Emilio. I'm not too sure how I didn't crash, considering the fact it was a pretty hard hit. But the new damage model on these trucks is pretty resilient when it comes to damage. I know the same thing happened to TCB. He was in a pretty big wreck and he was completely fine. So yeah, just bit of everything. Knew it was coming, but I just happened to be in the right place to avoid it.
Very impressive effort there on the backstretch there. That's how these isn't it funny how these races have a habit of working out like that. It's great for you to be in the spot that you were at to come home with this third place finish. You had quite a journey here, all over the place. You were up and down all over the place. How did you manage to get yourself back to that back into the spot? You were in 10th when all this went down. How did you get back up there?
Yeah, so at the at the start of the race, obviously started off winning the duels and an absolute barn burner with Ashton coming to the line. That was a lot of fun for sure, and it was a really good kind of indicator on how the trucks were going to drive. So definitely good to win that. And then we were hanging out up front. I thought things after that first wreck, there was that big checkup and obviously the big wreck that unfolded behind us. And a lot of my teammates survived that. A lot of us were in the back. I was like, you know what? I'm going to head to the back after a couple laps of running up front. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go out to the back, hung out there for most of the race. And then I'm not too sure what lap it was, but the big wreck in the tri-oval, I was stopped and got ran over from behind. So we were definitely had about 2.5 minutes of damage, set us on the back foot for sure. And then after the last green flag stop, I had set it. I realized it once we got back out after I fixed some damage. I was like, if I have no one behind me, then I'm not going to go anywhere. And after that last green flag stop, I came out last, fell all the way back. I think I was like 23rd, 22nd. And I was like, I need a yellow. I need to come get the rest of this damage fixed. And that's what happened. Got the yellow, came down, fixed the damage, and truck felt good as new. And we just slowly started to make our way through the front, avoided all the wrecks, and ended up with a good, solid third place finish.
It was awesome to see you going forward after getting so far back there in the pack. Speaking of going forward, next week we're at Phoenix Raceway. What's your thoughts on that place? And obviously you set yourself up pretty well in the points so far. How are you going to maintain it going forward?
For sure, Phoenix is definitely one of my personal, more challenging tracks. I don't know, haven't been able to figure out the dog leg. It's one of those flat tracks, which is I just historically struggle at, and I know that. So gonna definitely put in some practice laps this week. We run the league on Mondays that also just ran at Phoenix and felt decently comfortable there. So definitely looking to just put some laps down and continue that into next week.
Heck yeah, man. Well, one last thing before you go. Do you have anybody to thank out there for your awesome effort tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank Giant Tiger once again back on the truck for what feels, I think, the 5th season straight. Same with Eric and Spectrum Racing back for another season, another go around. Couldn't ask for a better start to the season. We felt strong for sure. Spencer was up there until that wreck with I think it was Alex. Jared was up there leading for most of it. Eric was up in the mix. Just a solid team effort from everybody today. I know Ashton was up there too for a bit. Just everyone overall, just all of them working together so well. Definitely sucks that Spencer got taken out when he did because we were looking to get going there, and it sucks that Emilio was so far away. But yeah, Giant Tiger, Spectrum, Eric for having me back for another season. I know last season definitely wasn't optimal for myself. Missed the playoffs, just a not good season. So it was really nice to get the call back for sure.
Well, you definitely got the right foot going forward this season. We're looking forward to seeing how you progress as we go on farther into season 9 here. That was Gavin Fitzgerald, 3rd place finisher tonight. Thanks for talking to us, Gavin.
Thank you, sir.
And next up, we've got the winner. Brittle.
Malad Radman, this is Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
And Port, hello.
Well, congratulations, man, first and foremost, on what an awesome performance just all around tonight. Elliot and I, quite frankly, were having trouble finding other things to talk about other than you and TCB and Jared just absolutely having a death grip on the field. How did you guys coordinate that prior, or were you guys talking throughout the race? How did you do this?
So it was me and TCB only as Team TCB because Jared's on another team. So we didn't have any communication with Jared, but we've known Jared for over 10 years now. So like this has been a long time that we've been racing. So heading into the race, we always know like, okay, we know Spence, we know Jared, we know, okay, so like if we could get around them, maybe we'll help each other and stuff. But it was just me and TCB. And I think we're 2 of the best plate racers out here, so we knew we can kind of strangle this race. And then Jared got up there, and yeah, we had no communication with him. So it was just me and TCB, and even we had some communication issues because he was having an issue with Discord sometimes. But we just knew what to do. Like TCB and I were making sure, like, all right, Jared must be getting hot. Let's go here, do this, do that. And yeah, we worked together pretty much all race until I think Jared got stuck on the bottom before that big wreck. I think like lap 72 or something like that. And yeah, I was telling TCB in my chat, like that's probably the most dominant performance I've ever seen at a plate race because I don't remember running lower than like 4th. It was crazy. So yeah, we did a fantastic job. TCB's obviously just awesome. I think he's the best plate racer I know. Probably him and Demos and people like that. They're just amazing, and so it's an easy teammate to work with. And then towards the end of the race, I think we could have probably finished 1-2. I made a mistake there coming out of turn 2. I jerked the wheel a little bit to the right. It got me off-centered. When I came back to him, I was a little bit to the left, and it hooked him a tiny bit. And then I had to block the run coming to the top, and then they wrecked. And then from that point on, it was just about getting to the line first. And I honestly, going into turn 3, I didn't think so because I was like, I'm a sitting duck here. But we got it, so job done. At least one of us won. That was the goal.
I mean, if anything, that makes the effort even more impressive that you weren't talking to Jared the entire night. You had all of us fooled up here in the booth. Yeah, unfortunately, that last mistake there on the last lap, you hate to see it, but the good thing is it worked out for you, and that's the important thing. So you're in prime control here going into the next race at Phoenix. How you feel going forward now that you've got this momentum? You feeling good about Phoenix, the next race going forward?
I think my weakness is like 1 mile tracks or short tracks. So I don't think I can compete for a win there, but I am going for the championship this season because I joined late last season. And I think I won a few races there towards the end. So and then got suspended because I did something stupid. But I hope to win the championship this season. So yeah, I don't think Phoenix is going to be the best, but it's just, we got the win under the belt, so that's good. And now it's just about, getting consistent finishes and trying to improve on some weaknesses. But that's the goal, is to win the championship, and we'll see if I can do that.
Well, I can confirm that you did come in late last season, and I can also confirm that you stole a couple wins from some of us who have been here a little bit longer, namely myself. I can that one sticks prominently in my mind. But I definitely look forward to seeing you make a run for the championship. Do you have anybody to thank out there for your awesome performance tonight?
Yeah, so our fictional sponsor, King Sky, my dog, shout out Sky, he's the best. He's whining a little bit right now on my bed because I've been ignoring him for 3 hours. But thank you to all my subscribers, because I live stream these things as well. So thank you to everyone that's been watching on the stream, everyone who watched the main stream that you guys broadcasted. Big shout out to obviously TCB. I love racing with him, and so we make a great team. Shout out to Jared as well, and shout out to everyone in the field. I thought after that first lap I was a little bit nervous. I was like, door slamming on lap 1, big wreck. I was like, but it looked like the racing was pretty clean from that point on, and it was a great race. I had a lot of fun. So thank you guys for broadcasting. Thank you to my subscribers in the chat for watching. Thank you to TCB. Thank you everyone, and see you guys next week.
Well, heck yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us. It was awesome to see you put on that performance out there today. That's one that's going to stick in the GLR history books for sure. That's Malad Radman. Make sure to go give him a follow as Real Radman on YouTube. Thanks for talking to us tonight, and congratulations once again.
Thank you guys. Good night.
And that just about does it for our interviews here tonight. Elliot, do you have any final thoughts as we look forward to Phoenix?
Boy, do I. I think that we're going to see a really good showdown this season. I think having Radman in this series as well is going to be useful for TCB, who seems to run kind of haphazardly through these seasons. So I think those two will work together, and you'll see TCB run a little bit more competitively at a lot of these other tracks. He's obviously stout on the super speedways, but he has a lot of talent on a lot of these other tracks, and I think that team is going to be something to look out for moving forward. So, we have a lot of different talking points. We talk about team standings, we talk about rookies, we can talk about different drivers. Madalinas nearly coming so close to winning Daytona for the second time, but I think overall the biggest way to end this is to just go back and talk about some of these top guys that finished, where we really didn't expect. I mean, Gabe Truesdale, Emilio Paredes, Mike McConville up in 12th, Aiden DuPont in 11th, Ashton Lawson, who was involved in, I believe, the first accident. He was the one backwards, sideways down the backstretch on lap 1, comes back to 13th. Shout out to a lot of these guys that came back and made a good night out of something that was going sour at a certain point. So interested to see how Radman carries this into Phoenix and into Michigan, but a lot of different talking points coming out of here going into next week.
Definitely a lot of stuff to be carrying forward. We'll be looking to see how our favorites can recover from this too. Shane Neiswanger been around the league for a good long time. Zach Henry as well. We'll have to see them claw their way back from a disappointing Daytona finish. Definitely better than it could have been, but not ideal for where they want to be, I know for sure. But it'll be an interesting watch over the season as we look ahead to Phoenix next week. Do we have any favorites early on going into Phoenix next week? I believe Jared Darling had this place in spades, or had Phoenix in spades last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're going to see Nathan jump up front. He ran really well previously at Phoenix at a race that we ran. He's a really good short track driver. Jared Darling's a great short tracker, him and Spencer Owens. So, I think Radman kind of is a little humble there. I think he's going to be a contender. Potentially Christopher Heller didn't show up, but there's guys that we didn't even talk about tonight, like Shane Neiswanger and Zach Henry. Hunter Madalinas is going to be fast. Daniel Nanny was taken out tonight. He'll probably be fast. There's a lot of competition. But one quick note over to Radman before he turns his stream off. No one has won Daytona and followed it up with the championship at the end of the season. So he has a little bit of a statistic against himself going into these next 16 races.
The way I see it, he's got a statistic to go and chase, and something new to introduce to the league here. It'd be awesome to see him go and do that and break the Daytona curse, if you will, before we make it anything bigger than it already is. That'll just about wrap it up for all of us here at Split Second Broadcasting. A great race overall tonight at Daytona for the opening season, or the opening race of the GLTS season. We'll be back next week at the same time at Phoenix to see these guys take on that 1.5 miles. Or, well, I guess it's a mile roughly instead. But definitely a lot different discipline than it was tonight. For now, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you then. For Split Second Broadcasting, I'm Hunter Brittle, and that's Elliot Henderson, and we're signing off, and we'll see you next week.